the gay pride parades, in the context of the talk. And there is a lot of just perversion promoted there. It's really shocking to see it's actually happening in Toronto or San Francisco.
And all
or
the
whatever.
political leaders are flocking to be seen, to be supporters, and that's disgusting.
Yeah, that's a revelation of an idolatrous heart, that there's idolatry going on in those situations. That is, the politicians in that case are putting something first.
Yeah.
My success as a politician, my place, so what do I have to do? I have to jump out in front of one of these parades and get excited and be happy and affirm everybody in the context of it and never say a single word that there might be something a little off about what's going on here?
They may even think that deep down, but they're choosing political popularity over their own conscience in many ways. It was shocking to me to see a picture of the Canadian Prime Minister putting his arms around this naked woman in one of these parades, and just going like, come on, I mean, the dignity.
It's almost like we'll do anything to maintain our power, our place, our influence, the adulation of people. To
be cool, to be on the cutting edge, to be with the liberal agenda or whatever.
Right. And that I think of John in his first letter, that he warns against love of this world, makes you an enemy of God. And he warns us about the lust of the flesh, the pursuit of pleasure in the flesh, the lust of the eyes, that is the glitter, the gold, the diamonds, the money, the everything, and the pride of life, which is seeking honor and recognition from the world.
Yeah.
And those three things are so alive in the world right now. Even so far, you see how much the enemy is gripping the culture and society. Even businesses now, who these issues should be almost irrelevant for them. Some businesses, powerful businesses, are forcing their employees to go to these parades, saying, you better show up there, and if you don't, you're a hater in some fashion.
Yeah.
And so it's a coercion.
Also,
it's a collusion and a coercion to affirm evil. They wouldn't force anybody to go to St. Patrick's Day parade in New York or the 4th of July parade, but why these parades of all parades are they literally using their power to get people to go and to affirm it and never speak against it?
Yeah.
Where do you think that comes from, right?
Yeah. Well, some of these companies are now saying, if you kind of try to protect religious freedom in your state, we're going to pull our companies out of your state. We're going
to try to financially cripple you.
Yeah. We're going to come against you. We're going to put you out of business. We're going to. Yeah. It's just like it's like the powers and principalities have really gotten a hold of a lot of the levers of power in our society, and people are kind of like. People are signing on to something that is really, really evil, but some of these companies are actually run by people who are personally very engaged in these behaviors, type of thing, and they're using shareholders' money, so to speak, to advance an agenda.
And in your talk, you affirmed again, our help comes from the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth.
Yeah.
He made us.
Yeah.
We belong to Him.
Yeah.
Right. The culture now, as you mentioned in there, is the great good is aggressive self-creative freedom. That our hope and our happiness is in my capacity to create for myself the meaning of life, who I am, what happiness is going to be. And that's a direct, very deep, profound rejection of God's rightful claim over His creation. And we celebrate it as a great good, but it's a profound rebellion.
Yeah.
And that passage from 2 Thessalonians that you read is so clear, and the wrath of God is coming against that stuff. It really is.
Yeah.
And we have to be careful. I noticed, Ralph, at the beginning of that section in 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, Paul's addressing the Thessalonians, and he says this, therefore, we ourselves boast of you in the churches of God for your steadfastness and your faith in all your persecutions and in the afflictions which you're enduring.
Mm-hmm.
We're entering into persecution.
Yeah.
We're entering into affliction. The Lord's permitting it.
Yeah.
And the question, a great test is here for us, brothers and sisters, and we got to take it seriously. And if we're not, as you said, putting Jesus at the center and holding on to Christ and living for Him, we will find ourselves jumping into parades and celebrating things that offend God profoundly because we have more fear of men than we have fear of God.
That's really true, Peter. That's really, really true. And it's almost like we're being required by our culture to actually live something of a penitential life.
Yes.
We have to deny ourselves certain things. We have to deny ourselves certain acceptances, certain popularity, certain comforts of not standing out, of not being different. It's almost like Christians are going to have to live a different lifestyle than even they've been used to, in order not to be corrupted by the culture we're living in. And we really need to support each other in this. There needs to be informal communities developing, and we need to be with other people who can help us keep our heads clear. There's just a lot of things we need to now kind of take a concern for our life if we're not going to be, co-opted by this incredible pressure.
Yeah, and you think about, we've been paying attention to just the life in China recently, some of what goes on in China these days. And I remember reading an article there was a conversation from the director of religious affairs for the government. Mm-hmm. And he came right out in the public article, it was all published, and he said he warned all party members to remember that if they cannot have any faith, and if they did, they were going to be punished. And he said, because your faith is undermining what we believe in, which is dialectical materialism, which is really believing there is no God. And then they force people, and they're trying to force the church to limit its power and its influence and its capacity, to be there. So not only in the West is all this happening, but also in the East. There's different parts. There is this global pressure of one kind or another to not acknowledge God and let people freely pursue God and celebrate that.
Yeah, well, it's really ironic, Peter. Satan tried to cut people off from God through communism, and he succeeded in a lot of ways. But now he's trying to cut people off of God from another kind of totalitarianism, this kind of
Right.
totalitarianism of the left, you might say, right here in Western culture, compelling people, punishing people, keeping them from opportunities, not letting them, enter certain universities if they hold certain views or get certain jobs, the same tactics that communists use to kind of force people to corrupt their conscience and go along to get along.
And Peter said, don't be surprised by the fiery ordeal that you're entering into, that you're living in. Brothers and sisters throughout Christian history have gone through stuff like this, that is being rejected by society. Christian history is full of martyrs and persecutions and the rest of it. It's just, the question is, how are we going to respond to the moment?
Right. We really need to strengthen our own relationship with the Lord, don't we?
Yeah.
We really need to get clear about who we're following, who we're obeying. When there's a conflict between the teaching of Christ and what our culture is telling us, we really need to know what we got to go with. And a lot of people aren't there right now. That's why we have this program, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why we're doing what we're doing at Renewal Ministries, yeah. Well, Peter, thanks so much for being a partner in the gospel and preaching and teaching the word that we know is so important for people to hear today.
You're welcome.
I've written a booklet called What Happens When I Die? And we need to get ready for the conflict we're in. We need to get ready for appearing before the judgment seat of Christ. And this little booklet can be a tremendous help in getting clear about how we have to live so that our life ends up in tremendous success rather than a tragic, horrifying failure. It's also a good booklet that we can use to awaken other people to what really matters, to what's really going on, put them in touch with realities that people oftentimes don't want to talk about, but it's going to happen. So we'd like to make this booklet available to you at no cost, just for the asking. The easiest way to get it is just go to our website, renewalministries.net, or you can call the 800 number that's appearing on the screen, and we'll get it right off to you. Because there really is a battle going on. There's really a war going on. The devil's like a roaring lion, seeking to devour souls. Every day he's firing fiery darts, trying to corrupt us, trying to tempt us, trying to appeal to that lust of the flesh and lust of the eyes and pride of life that Peter was just talking about in the program. We really need to learn how to pick up our cross every day and following Jesus. We really need to learn how to renounce those disordered desires and choose for Jesus in the face of whatever temptation, whatever pressure, whatever threats, whatever discomfort we're being threatened with. Till next week, this is Ralph Martin and Peter Herbeck wishing you a life that just keeps your eyes on Jesus. As Teresa of Avila said, just keep your eyes on Jesus. Just keep choosing him. Just keep looking to him. Just keep following him. And you'll end up where the Lord really wants you to be.
We all die, but not all deaths are the same. To die in unrepented sin is a bitter death that will only lead to the indescribable agony of eternal separation from God. But to die as a Christian, our sins forgiven, is to die a very different kind of death. A death which has now been transformed into a doorway to paradise. I've written a booklet called What Happens When I Die, to help you and I end up in paradise rather than in hell. Go to our website, renewalministries.net, and simply click on the booklet or call the number on the screen and we'll send it right out to you just for the asking for free. What a gift we've been given. We can die in the love of Christ and be with Him forever.